Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the What's New in Charlotte Business Podcast. I am the host of the show, Austin Murray. I'm with Charlotte Connects. I'm also with Sykes and Company PA. Along with me today is Dana Alfirevic. She is the CEO and founder of Charlotte Networking Knowledge. Really cool organization in Charlotte that really helps people that are newer to the networking scene or are a little bit more introverted and just trying to branch out of their shell. I'll let her do the description of that. But Dana, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on, Austin. I'm really excited about this opportunity. And thank
Yeah,
everyone for tuning in as well. We appreciate you guys.
yeah, absolutely. We love Dana. We've been talking to her for a while. We've been working with her for a while, gone to several of her events. But Dana, talk to us a little bit for listeners out there. Talk to us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what is Charlotte Networking Knowledge. Kind of give us the rundown.
Sure. So, Charlotte Networking Knowledge is a support organization and networking group for entrepreneurs here in the Charlotte area. So, we host weekly networking events, and they're known for being welcoming, supportive, and inclusive to everyone. And we really take pride in creating high value, unique networking opportunities. I want to make networking accessible to everyone because I truly believe in the benefits of networking. It's really changed my life. I've created a group that has very consistent events, and our events are either free or low in cost, and there are no membership fees in my group. But we have a variety of different events we host here. So we host a monthly networking game night. So we've done things like, business charades,
That's
where
cool. Yeah.
you act out your business. We're doing business Pictionary, where you have a minute to draw out your business in front of a group of coworkers and other attendees at the event. And then I've had co-working meetups, I've had co-working sessions on the weekend, I've had networking dinners on Saturdays, I've hosted meetups in parks. I also host a lot of my events on the weekend as well as Friday evenings because sometimes it's hard for those to attend networking events in the day. So I really, my goal and my mission is to help make networking fun for people and also yeah, take the intimidation out of it, make it, less scary and more fun, and also create a community of like-minded, positive individuals who are focused on growing and self-improvement, but also who want to help each other and support each other, grow each other's businesses as well. It's really important that, my members want to like help each other and really
Yeah.
that's what I've been created so far. I started the group in September of last year and we've had a lot of growth so far. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that, one of the things that's very obvious from working with you and getting to know you is that and you mentioned it, which is you're making networking fun. A lot of times you go to a networking event and they're very it's very formal. You go there to shake hands, exchange business cards, but what you actually do is you add a layer of, something like you had mentioned, like a layer of charades or business Pictionary. How did you come up with the idea to incorporate some of these fun things into networking?
So my first event I was just kind of thinking about how to stand out among different networking organizations because there are so many. And me personally, I got overwhelmed of all the other networking groups. And I was thinking, well, how do I stand out? And one thing I was just, kind of doing some research and also just thinking like what I like to do. I was like, well, why not host games? Why not have events at happy hours, at private rooftops in Charlotte? Why
Yeah.
not have meet and greets at some of the hottest venues in the city? Why not host a content creators and collaborators meetup? These are all things that I actually like to do, and that's how I've incorporated it into my community because I couldn't find a networking group that I could, relate to in Charlotte just because there's just so many. I got overwhelmed and it's hard, you know, like consistently going to all of these events. So I decided to create my own, and my community is kind of focused on my values. So I love playing board games, love going out, meeting people, exploring new restaurants and, different types of venues and neighborhoods in the city. And also, um, I'm trying to make friends as well. So, again, I want to take the stuffiness out of it. I want to meet other, like-minded entrepreneurs where we can actually have, a friendship and have fun with each other, but also support each other. So I was thinking about kind of what I wanted in a networking group and a community and, what I was looking for in my friends. So I kind of structured my events and my community around that to attract like-minded individuals.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think one of the things also that really helps your group kind of stand out is the fact that you're not actually from Charlotte originally. I can't say that. I'm actually one of the 1% of people that's born and raised in Charlotte. But you're not actually from Charlotte originally. So where are you from?
So I'm originally from a suburb of LA.
Interesting.
Where?
Interesting. Yeah. So what prompted the change from LA to Charlotte?
So I actually have moved around a lot. So I went from LA to Chicago, then Dallas, Texas, and then Utah for a few months, and then Charlotte.
Interesting. That's really interesting. So you're kind of when you were doing that in LA and you were also in Chicago, were you doing networking there as well?
I was, and I didn't know anyone in Chicago. I had no job, no friends, no professional network in Chicago or Dallas, Texas, and I had no friends in Utah. I had my family, but I didn't have a job or any professional connections there either. So that's kind of how I learned to network. Just putting myself out there and just honestly just being bored and tired of not having any friends or job opportunities. And I am more introverted, especially like back in the day when I was just in a freshman in not high school, college. I was super introverted, super shy, but I was like,
Sure.
well, I just want to get out there and meet people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's almost like you took a little bit, it's almost like you were networking in all these different areas and I imagine there's some things that you took from networking there that was missing to the Charlotte scene and that like worked and that you thought would be a really good addition to the Charlotte networking scene. What are some of those things that maybe you carried over from some of these other locations that you were at?
So I'd say I since I have a lot of experience moving around to new cities without a professional network and I know how to build long-lasting professional relationships,
Mhm.
how to, effectively set meetings and follow up and stay top of mind to, my network and also my clients. So I have incorporated some of those strategies in my networking events. One of the best things I do is consistently host a lot of events. Like we host weekly networking events in the city. Um, so I'd say I do host a lot of events. I think volume is important, especially because I also, crafted my organization from being, a newcomer and having that outsider perspective because when I came into Charlotte, I didn't have any friends or a job or professional network. So I found some great groups I really liked, but there's only one networking event a month, and it was only for like 2 hours. I really wanted to, connect more with people. So I started hosting weekly networking events, and also mine are typically longer as well. Sometimes they can go up to 4 hours.
Wow.
How I kind of crafted my events with kind of what I was looking for in mind. And also, I've tailored that for people who are, new to the city. They can come to my events as well. And they can, consistently engage because the best way to really build a community is to see each other, consistently. And sometimes, there's a lot of networking advice out there, like, oh, like grab a coffee or grab
Sure.
lunch. Well, that's honestly, that's not realistic in today's society with everyone you meet, especially, in a big city like Charlotte, someone could be in like Norman, you could be, in,
Yeah.
like Wiley area. Just invite them to a networking event, especially the one you met them at, and then you will, naturally develop those relationships, and it's kind of low pressure as well.
Yeah, I really like that sense of community in terms of inviting somebody to a networking event. I know personally I live in Huntersville, and so for me, getting to other networking events in Charlotte, I love doing it, and I'll always make the time to do it. But it's always a little bit tricky figuring that out because there's at least like a 15-20 minute drive from where I am into, wherever it is. And then I've got to find parking. And then by the time I get up, so I've got to basically coordinate a whole schedule around it. Whereas like having networking events where it's maybe a little bit longer, when, stuff kind of piles up throughout the day on my agenda, I can actually still make that event, still have a great time. And then, like you mentioned about inviting somebody for a cup of coffee, a lot of times it's a lot easier if you see them periodically at a networking event. Just say like, "Hey, just I'll see you next week or something." That's really cool. Um, you know, New people to the city. We get a lot of new people at our Charlotte Connects events. And one of the most common questions that we get is, I want to get into networking more, but I really don't know where to start. Do you have any advice or any tips of you would give somebody that's looking to maybe broaden their network?
Absolutely. So I would say, I actually recommend, making a spreadsheet of all the groups you have visited, and just, searching on um, Meetup, Google, and Eventbrite. Just search, networking events, and every time, you see something, you can sign up for it, but also record it in your Excel spreadsheet so you have that info, and do a little bit of research about that group and see, oh, how often are they meeting? Is it like every second Tuesday of the month at, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.? So just so you can have that information in a spreadsheet so you can keep track of it, because I had to do that. It was just so many groups, I got overwhelmed. And I think especially people being new to town, you can totally get overwhelmed. But also, so I really recommend having tracking. That's very important. And also, try out as many different groups as possible, because not every group is going to be a good fit for you. There's been some groups, and this has been in in other cities where it seemed, they seem kind of standoffish, and it's like a networking. You're supposed to try to meet new
Right.
people, and be open, but it just seemed like everyone there already knew each other. And that can be a little awkward. So I'd say, don't give up if your first like experience is bad. Don't get discouraged, because there's a group out there for you. And just, if you can't find a group, you can always create your own. That's another good way to get started. But yeah, I'd say just search a group, and then, actually schedule it, in your calendar so you don't forget, and just show up and be yourself, and know that everyone is there to connect just like yourself. Everyone is in, the same boat as you. So there are people out there excited to meet someone like you.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into I guess you could say the mechanics of your group or some of that additional pieces of value that people get when they're a part of Charlotte Networking Knowledge. You told me one time that you have, well, one, you're a published author, but also you told me one time that you have additional resources. Can you kind of tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I've published two ebooks on networking, and actually they're both available in paperback as well. So if anyone is interested in my books, I can personally sign a copy for you at my upcoming event.
Nice.
But I have two books available for those who are, new to networking, or who need a refresher on effective modern networking strategies that actually work in 2025 because a lot of the advice out there is super outdated. Like,
Hmm.
oh, like take all these notes after, a meeting. You have to do a bunch of research, like craft all these questions before like going to an event. I think you should just it's just too much information. I know someone, especially someone who's new to the city, moving is just overwhelming in general. Just kind of
Sure.
understand who you're trying to connect with and just figure out the group and the event and, what what's kind of their agenda, and if it works with your goals, go for it. So I have two books that I offer to help my attendees, and I also have some journals, guides, and templates available on my website. And I also have a goal setting workshop that I hosted, and I'm going to continue hosting goal setting workshops and also mastermind groups as well. So we can check
Nice.
in about our goals and kind of, share what's going on, any challenges and resources and ideas and support needed. Because when I hosted the mastermind, it was just that we had over 30 attendees, and it was
Yeah,
just like so
that's a
many
lot.
people, and even some people's, their goal was kind of complex. But even not being in that industry, some people just had really great ideas. I was like, well, I never even would have thought about that. So just like, I really love collaboration and just bringing a bunch of minds together. I'm really huge about that all, pulling together ideas and helping and supporting and encouraging each other. So I offer that. I also have my free private support and accountability Facebook group where we
Hmm.
have like networking, threads where we kind of introduce ourselves, what we're looking for, who we're looking to connect with. We also post all of our events in there. We have weekly goal setting threads and daily goal setting threads, as well as threads to, share any wins and any challenges as well. So it's a growing community on Facebook.
What are some of those more modern networking strategies that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'd say the biggest one is combining the power of in-person networking with also social media networking. Like a ton of professional networking is done not only on LinkedIn, but also on Instagram and
Yeah,
Facebook. If you
huge.
don't have a professional Instagram or Facebook, you are missing out.
Yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely. And again, because like we kind of mentioned earlier, it offers a low commitment way to stay in contact, especially if you're posting, a note on your Instagram or Facebook story, or just adding a story, or just a post in general. Again, it's not an obtrusive way to check in or try to, suggest a meeting, especially if you briefly meet someone at an event, and you might get to know them more before committing to a lunch, and they might want to get to know you more in your business more. But then like they see a post like, oh, Dana, she just had a book signing for her book, I should reach out to her, maybe we could collab together on a project. So it really, my biggest piece of advice, if you don't have professional Facebook and Instagram, you're missing out.
Yeah, absolutely on the Instagram piece. I used to focus solely on LinkedIn. I had my personal Instagram and I had my Facebook, but I focused solely on LinkedIn. That's where I did everything from my networking and my professional posts and all that. And a couple months ago, I went to an event and everybody there, I was asking people for their LinkedIn and they were all like, I'm not on LinkedIn, but what's your Instagram? And everybody asked for my Instagram. And I was like, that's interesting. It was the first time I mean, I've had other instances, but I never had something to that scale where people were of that where that many people were asking for what's your Instagram as opposed to LinkedIn. Most of the time, it's kind of a mix. Most people are like, hey, what's your Instagram or your LinkedIn? But this was like solely nobody did LinkedIn. So if you're not on there, you're definitely missing out.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I've noticed a lot of because I've gone to quite a few real estate networking events. I feel like the real estate community in
They're
Charlotte,
all on Instagram. All
Instagram.
on Instagram. Yeah, real estate's all on Instagram.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very interesting. What are do you have any other pieces of advice or any other modern networking strategies you want to share?
So I'd also recommend when you, well, also, go for the ask when you
Yeah,
follow, when you want to, set up a meeting, but also, you want to do it quickly. Like if you're even, in the middle of a conversation, if you realize this is someone you want to connect with and, you can offer value to them in some way, ask, say, I'd love to get
sure.
a meeting or, a phone call with you. And you want to do this, sooner rather than later because sometimes, especially with a lot of events, sometimes other people are going to join in on the conversation or, they're going to have to excuse themselves, they're going to get a phone call, or just,
Yeah,
yeah, you're going to get lost in the sea of, um, blazers and those little, the vests the men wear. Yeah.
yeah,
So definitely ask, for their, and yeah, be confident, be bold, going for the ask, and you can continue that conversation, but you can still at the same time be like, yeah, okay, I'd love to, connect with you. What's your, what's the best, also ask them, what's the best way to stay in contact and connect with you? Because email, again, like email is really outdated. A lot of people don't like email, even people who are older, even people in their 60s that I've met, they prefer sending a text
yep,
message. So,
yeah,
some people, might enjoy an email. So it just always ask. And some people might, yeah, I was, talking to someone, he said, LinkedIn is better. Other people have said, Instagram. Some people say, oh, just text me. So I'd say just confirm with them what's the best way to reach them. Because if you're sending them an email, you don't want it to get lost in their inbox.
yeah. I always like understanding the full scope of what you do. So, a lot of people will go to a networking event and they're like, "Well, I'm looking for leads." It's like, "Well, there's other opportunities too that because you're so focused on looking for a lead, you're missing out on opportunities for business partnerships, maybe getting a referral partner, maybe you offer some sort of like white label contract and you could sell a white label contract just through some sort of creative connection that you make. So really understanding the full scope. But I love exactly what you said as well. Um, Dana, thanks so much for jumping on. I could talk to you forever about this kind of stuff. But where can the people find you? How can they get a hold of you? Yeah, just give us plug your socials and everything.
Absolutely. So you can find my group on Facebook and Instagram. That's Charlotte Networking Knowledge, all spelled out. And on TikTok, it's Charlotte CLT underscore networking underscore knowledge. And you can also find me on my website, networkingknowledgeandgrowth.com. And you can also find us on LinkedIn as well. Because yeah, no, LinkedIn, it still is popping.
It is.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like especially for events, because you get a dedicated invite on the same page where you get your friend requests on LinkedIn. So it's a good way to
Yeah.
stay top of mind for upcoming events if you host events.
I personally love LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram too, but I personally love LinkedIn. A lot of people they might think that LinkedIn has its problems with some of its content, but I've actually found a lot of the content there. If you put out good content and you follow and you connect with the right people, you can change your algorithm so that way you're exposed to high quality content. LinkedIn, to your point, yeah, it's still popping.
It is, yeah. I gotta add you on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, thanks so much for jumping on, Dana. Like I said, everyone, in the show notes, you'll have all this information there. So links to her publications, her groups, her social media, everything that Dana's doing, it's going to be under there as well. And make sure you come to our event March 20th. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be a link in the bio as well. Dana, thanks again for coming on.